You were made to be ruled. In the end, it'll be every man for himself.
What do we do?
We get ready.
Gentlemen,
What are you prepared to do?
So this is my Heriosm presentation for Psychology 1000 with Brian Metcalf. Shout out to him. If I get more than 100 likes on this video, I think he should give me an A in the course. Joking. When I got given this assignment, I had no idea what to really talk about. All I could really think of was that I just wanted to watch a Marvel movie right about now. Then I had an idea. So my topic that I'm going to be talking about and showing you cool stuff about is superhero movies are a good influence or not, like whether they're good or bad. Mainly going to be focusing on younger kids because their brains are just like little sponges. They soak up a ton of information and whatever you feed them, kind of like this kid here.
Boron,
C,
carbon,
N,
nitrogen,
O,
oxygen,
F,
fluorine.
N, E.
Now, but in a biological sense, we already knew that inhibitory neurons played a critical role in retaining new information, but we were unable to study them with the traditional methods. It was believed that as these neurons matured, they fostered optimal earning in the young, but as neurons continued to age, it was believed they became even stronger and increased their activity to the point where they began to impede learning. However, a study done by Mellon University discovered using a multi-photon laser scanning microscopy that during heightened periods of learning, inhibitory neurons did not fire more as expected, but they actually fired less. The result was basically that when you are young, you haven't experienced much, so your brain needs to be like a sponge that soaks up all these types of information. So it's found that the brain actually turns off the inhibitory cells in order to allow this to happen. So, there you go. Now parents have an excuse for why their kids are acted stupid. All they have to say is, oh, they just fed some bad information. Whatever, kind of like this one. Well, that's definitely some bad information. So anyway, back to the topic at hand.
You got a suit? Yeah. And suit up.
Okay, so psychologist Sharon Lamb thinks that today's superheroes send the wrong messages to young boys in particular. So then in an article I read that she wrote, she goes on to describe how there is a really big difference in the movie superhero of today and then the comic book superhero of yesterday. Well, Well, personally, I see nothing wrong with that shift. But no, Dr. Lamb is referring to the sexual images and violence young teenagers are subjected to while watching these movies. She states, so now when I read that statement, I automatically thought of the Marvel movies, like such as Iron Man with Tony Stark as a protagonist, or the movie Deadpool with the gorgeous Ryan Reynolds. Okay. Anyway, both of these movies present overly sarcastic, aggressive, narcissistic, and hyper-masculine superheroes. The movie Iron Man grossed over 585 million worldwide, and the second movie even surpassed that with over 621 million. It was a huge hit for all ages, obviously, but are both these movies suitable for younger children, especially since they are known super movies, and do they influence these kids? So there was this study done by Stetson University, Ferguson, conducted by Dr. Coyne, where 134 parents were recruited to fill out surveys about their 3 to 10-year-old superhero movies, viewing habits, and well as habits of play. Overall, little boys were more likely than girls to view superhero movies. 20% of the boys who didn't watch superhero movies at all, and another 20% of boys watched at least once or twice a week or more, and the rest just fell in between. So now it was showing that the boys who watched superhero movies had higher rates of playing with pretend weapons, as well as playing in stereotypical male ways, such as like wrestling, instead of dress up, such as these kids. So really the only bad thing is the whole playing with weapons thing. There was no result or study that had any significance showing that young boys grew up to being, assholes or whatever because they watched the movie Iron Man or some other today's superhero movie. So back to the weapons issue. For as long as history goes back, young boys have been playing with some sort of weapon like toy. Whether it was sword fighting back in the medieval times or, pretend Wolverine claws today. It's all the same. So you see, boys have been doing this, and girls, I'm not one to be stereotypical, for hundreds of years, and it's healthy for boys to go out and wrestle with other kids, playful, and get a few bumps and bruises. It builds character, teaches them life lessons. Boys will be boys. Now, I had my own little curiosity to tend to, and this assignment was perfect to do that. So I wondered if I asked kids, like little kids, 2 questions that were not exactly the same, but they were similar, and what their answers would be. So my 2 questions were, 1, who is your favourite hero? And then my second question was, who do you look up to the most? They had very different responses. So the results of my little experiment was exactly what I was hoping for. 92% of the kids had different responses for the 2 questions. 100% of the kids said some sort of superhero for the first question. And the answers definitely varied in that one. Anyway, the big part was what kids answered to my second question. As I said previously, a young child soaks up as much information as it can from its surroundings and copies a lot of actions he or she is subjected to. Thus, the question was very important. I mean, whoever these kids said is most likely the person they copy or want to act like. And 100% of the kids did not even mention a Marvel superhero for this question. So the cute thing was 50% of the kids actually said their dad was the person they most looked up to and who they idolized and who they really thought was kind of their hero in a way. And the other 50% said some sort of pro athlete, dancer, friend, mum came up there a few times. So there you go. So to basically sum up and put my little opinion on it, I really do not believe today's superhero movies are a bad influence and have any major effects on kids. Kids may think a superhero is a person with some sort of power, like super strength or a cool looking suit, but in the end, kids, their hero, not superhero, is really a person that they idolize, they see, they look up to, they see every day. And of course it's going to be either their dad or a friend or, sometimes it is like an athlete and they want to strive that. So, I think today's hero is not what some people think the superhero, and movies are not distorting that at all. Anyway, thanks for listening on my opinion on if superhero movies are bad or good. Thanks, guys.